to someone that listens to this, to be able to invoke the blessings that God has put upon our lives, that give them that sense of belief, that exhibit a profound sense of humility that they can stand on, that God is in full control over our destiny, that we have to realize that God's blessings are timely, but they're timeless. So what you share with the listening audience would change someone's mind, is going to lift someone out of feeling like they can't make it any longer. This is igniting a passion for them to continue to have a zest for life. Truly is. And what you're sharing about you reaching this momentous feat in your life, that's the type of blueprint that let us be successful architects of peak performance in our life that will take us above and beyond any ordinary definition of success. That even when you talk about poverty and you're writing about it, we have to extirpate poverty throughout the globe. And so when you talk about this whole financial crisis that people are going through, and you talk about giving them the keys to being successful, and you tackling poverty at the root cause of it. Even when we had Dr. George C. Frazier here on the radio show, and he talked about building wealth that can be transferred intergenerationally. But he also talked about when it's dealing with economics, he was saying that even in the African-American consumers, when you talk about consumerism, they spend $1.1 trillion a year. Yes, and that he wants to help black people to become the number one employee of black people by the end of the 21st century. Yes.
Yeah, man.
And very much so.
Like
if you look at economics in the Bible, finances and dealing with financial situations and money, they have over 2,000 scriptures on money. And that money is talked about even more so than scriptures of faith and prayer. So God is trying to tell us something. He is trying to tell us something. So when God had you to write about poverty and the things that people are dealing with throughout the world, this will be able to help save someone's life. Because some people can't deal with dealing with situations, dealing with their financial situations or what you have went through. And I believe that Candace can speak a little bit more about this, and she can expound on this as well.
Thank you, Tammy. One of the things I want to do, if I'm able, Joshua, is I was hearing this scripture for you, and it speaks to the root. And it's Jeremiah 1:10. And it says, "See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant." And that scripture came to me so clear as you've been talking this whole time, you and Tammy, just about facing the root, facing your giants in the land, dealing with those things that have to be rooted, plucked up and rooted out. And I just had to share that because sometimes we think we're speaking something, but we're only hitting the surface. So, man of God, I just want to say thank you for your transparency. And I want at this time if you could share with the listening audience about the future projects that the Father has given you that you want to share with the world.
Most definitely. I have the book, From Prison to Spiritual Peace. It's available for pre-order right now at www.joshuaproby.org. It's available for pre-order. The release of the book is March 14th. That is the release of From Prison to Spiritual Peace, and it will be available on Amazon. I also have another speaking engagement coming up in Chicago. It's a men's conference, a spiritual men's conference in Chicago. And also there is my nonprofit that will be out in about 2 months. It's called Peace for Poverty. and it's a nonprofit organization that we are getting ready to take it by storm by, just like she said, getting to the root of it. And I pretty want peace for poverty centers in each area, because not everybody has transportation to the YMCA. Not everybody, so we need to start putting these type of places in our communities. And for those individuals who are truly, truly about changing things, then it's time to start putting these centers in there that have computer skills, technology skills, trade skills, in each one of these things, because not many people understand that the government has many different platforms to where they pay for these things, and it's just up to us, those who have that calling, those of us who have that push, and to make that change. So those are the type of things that I have coming up. And also in October, I will be releasing a book called The Cancers of Our Lives and the Cancers That We Deal With in Our Relationships, which pretty much is a book that was driven for me to write because when I had about 5 years left in prison, I found out that my mother had cancer, and I didn't even know if I was going to see my mother again. So the God placed it on my spirit to write about cancer and compare individuals who fought for their actual lives by this horrible thing of cancer, and how we, as everyday individuals in our relationships, in our marriage, allow cancer such as anger, frustration, doubt, fear to plague our relationships, and we don't even fight for them, but yet we have these individuals who are fighting for their lives, physically losing their hair, and so many different type of emotional things that can come up against them, but yet and still they're giving it all that they got. They're fighting for their life, so how much more should we in our relationships fight just as much, if not more? So these stories should give those the inspiration to fight for their relationships and to fight for their marriages, because that's what we're here for. We're here. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So these are the things that we have to fight for, and that book will be coming in October. And just focusing right now on From Prison to Spiritual Peace, which will be released on March 14th, and you can get your pre-orders now at the website www.joshuaproby.org.
Awesome. Can you also, at this time, man of Yahweh, if you could share Joshua Proby with the audience, how they can follow you on your social media platforms as well?
Yes. You can follow me on Facebook at Josh Proby, Josh space Proby, Proby, or on Instagram at Josh Proby, and there's no spaces in that. So and you can follow me on LinkedIn at Joshua Proby as well. And again, the website is www.joshuaproby.org.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joshua. We appreciate you sharing that with the listening audience. And even when it deals with your projects, say, tremendous vision, and we eagerly anticipate the grand unfolding of these momentous feats and endeavors that you continue to have in your life. And I say bravo, bravo, bravo to you. And we also appreciate you sharing with the listening audience. You have given us example in your life where you were able to gain from the pain by turning situations of adversity to your victory in your life. And so we have to realize that even with God, there is nothing too hard for God. And that God has a way of converting these painful mountains in our lives into His instrument of grace, because His grace is sufficient for these. That there is no valley too deep or no barrier too high to overcome. That so many people feel like they are being fought tooth and nail. They're engaged in spiritual warfare, the forces that seek to derail them. But God is a way maker. And so what you have shared with us is truly extraordinary, insightful synopsis of your life and your journey, what has taken you from where you begin to the amazing height that you have now achieved in your life. And it's truly, truly remarkable that you have realized that God is at the center of your life, and He continues to be at the center of your life. No matter what situation you have endured, you have kept God in the center of your life. And so we thank you for sharing such insight, which is truly inspirational and motivational and extreme.
Thank you.
And I am a true believer that we can gain from the pain, and that's what you have done. That through pain, there's purpose. and you have given people a sense of hope that for people to not lose sight of what God has placed in them, the promises that God placed in them, that they can unleash that power to be great, that you have to unburden yourself of the heavy yoke and vexation of spirits of pride and covenants in their lives. And so we are thankful what you share, because in the innermost recesses of holiness, we have to unveil the truth to the people, so they can be great, so they can be hopeful, so they can empower their mind. I tell people all the time, to empower yourself, you have to read more. You have to read, you have to look at videos to educate yourself, but you have to also balance your emotions, because our emotions are the reins or the seat. We have to be even keeled like the master of the craft across the spectrum of humanity. We must have to be even keeled even in our sensibilities as we engage with people across the spectrum of humanity. Like the captain of a ship, we must align himself or herself with the waves of destiny in order to reach his destination. We have to align ourselves with the God of the universe of humanity. And Joshua, most of all my interviews are centered around legacy. And you continue to be a beacon of inspiration. What do you wish for your lasting global crowning legacy to be?
I wish that the lasting global crowning legacy to be is to truly, truly allow people to understand the power and purpose that is greater than just yourself. That's my crowning legacy. That's what I wanted to be known as, that it wasn't just the trucking company, the books, the speaking, all of that. It wasn't ever about Joshua. It never was about Joshua. It was all about the purpose of carrying the message of Christ and allowing other individuals to be inspired through it. And not just that I can do it or get lost in my story or get lost in me. But my key thing is to make sure that along my journey you found where you found you. And as long as you found you along the journey, then now that you can pick up your bags and you can carry your journey of purpose as well.
Beautifully said. And that track of enlightenment, encouragement that reveals such a courage and commitment to your divine purpose in the service of humanity is truly inspirational and educational, motivational for those who are seeking to analyze their life and leave a lasting legacy for generations to come. And we thank you for sharing that with the listening audience today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are so very welcome. I will be remiss if I did not thank Dr. Eric Holmes for this stellar introduction and assistance with today's show.
Yes, he's amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing.
And he is truly a phenomenal man of God. And Dr. Eric Holmes, we truly, truly appreciate you. A listening audience, stay tuned for our upcoming guest, Dr. Virgil A. Woods, civil rights icon. He is the man who walked with Dr. Martin Luther King. He will be on our radio broadcast soon, so we are looking forward to it. So please, please be on the lookout for Dr. Virgil A. Woods. Also, if this radio show has been a blessing to you to help us further and expand our mission, we appreciate any donations you can give to Cash App at the $ Dynasty Dreamer. Again, Cash App the $ Dynasty Dreamer. Special thanks to you, Joshua Proby. Thank you very much for the profoundly insightful and illuminating explanation about your journey into enlightenment by helping others to execute upon their full potential and claim their divine destiny. In conclusion, on behalf of myself, my co-host John Shamburger, who's the visionary and co-host of this groundbreaking show, Millionaires in Training, and Candace Michelle, my co-host, and our listening audience, we appreciate you, Joshua Proby, for sharing such wisdom on today's show. Please accept our profuse thanks. You are a man of measure, wit, and gravitas. And we thank you for this wonderful, insightful contribution to the life legacy of each one of us.